Beauty, mate. All set, ready to go in the Jaws shirt.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Ready to tear people apart.
Tear people apart with the most ferocious podcast episode ever. Mate, a dead set gave me nightmares. Oh, sharks, yeah. Anyway.
There's plenty of them out there, mate, especially around the Central Coast. You sign up to some of those drone people on Facebook, and you'll just see the footage of sharks just everywhere,
really?
mate. Yeah, so
really?
Shelley Beach is a regular for them. So.
Yeah, I've heard that. Is it North Shelley where there's a fair few surfers?
Yeah, North Shelley. They're usually chasing the fish, mate, so they leave us alone. But they might mistake you for a fish. You never know.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely not. That's why we do squats, mate, to have bigger legs than the fish out there. So
that's it.
Awesome, mate. Look, welcome, and thanks for joining us today, boys and girls. We've got Marty Eder. He's legend of a bloke up Newcastle way. So he's a local to whatever local means to you, I guess. But he's a New South Welshman. That's the key thing. That's the most important part. But absolutely. And father of two girls, is it, mate?
Yeah, two girls, mate. 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So 6-year-old's going on 16, mate. So she's giving me hell already.
So as you can see, guys, just from that point there, that's why I'm staying close in Marty's pocket, because he's a little bit ahead of me. So I'll be getting all the tips and tricks to try and weather the storm when Stella's 6 and Lillian's.
The key is to work long hours, mate. So I time it well. So when I get home at night, they're usually asleep. So.
They're asleep. That's good. And that's the key. That's the secret behind real dad movement as well. You just work until you come home and everyone's asleep and you're all good, and then last time with the wife, mate, and you get to massage and pamper and
she's usually calmed down by that time too, mate. So it works well.
Outstanding. I can hear the feminists already. Jeez, cracker. But mate, share a bit about yourself, Marts, and your background, and a bit of the life of Marty.
Yeah, a bit about me, mate. So obviously 37 years old, so I turned 37 a week ago now. So getting on in age. Like you just said, two girls, so 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So 6-year-old Billy, she's in school in Newcastle, and 3-year-old's at preschool, which is good. So they're all going well. Originally from Sydney, so grew up in Bondi and Bronte. But quickly realised as we sort of grew up looking to buy a place, we had sort of no chance to get our foot in the door down there, mate. So we sort of had to look a bit further afield and chose Newcastle. So been up in Newey now for 2 years and absolutely love it. Work-wise, mate, I work in the retirement aged care industry. So I think I mentioned to you before we started the podcast, I'm on call tonight. So I'm looking after 250 units on the Central Coast in Batto Bay. So if an emergency goes off, it could be someone could be having a heart attack, it could be a fire, it could be a burst water main, whatever the emergencies are, mate. That's what my job is tonight, to be on call for the next 24 hours. So
Jesus.
So it's a full-on job, very challenging job. We see a lot of sick people, a lot of death, just a lot of mental illness, which is very fitting today with Are You OK Days. They see a lot of that as well, mate. So it can be challenging at times. But so that's what I do for a living. So I travel a lot for work as well. So yesterday, travelled up Port Macquarie to another one of our villages up there, down in Sydney a few days a month as well. So,
jeez, mate, did you say 250 units?
Yeah, so I've got, I look after 3 villages, so I basically I've got a team in each village, like a maintenance and an admin person who look after the day-to-day, and 99% of my time's with complaints, mate, so old people are very good at complaining, so...
Oh, mate, what are some of the pearlers that you've had in the past? Some of the craziest complaints?
One of the villages on Bias, there on Bias Avenue, which you know about it, there's a heap of trees, so in summertime the cicadas coming up. And they complain about the cicadas. What can you do about that? They want me to, basically get rid of the cicadas or stop the noise. Like, there's just silly things like that.
Mate, they just got to turn the hearing aid down a little bit, don't they, Marty?
Yeah, look, a lot of them can't hear anyway, so they must be
really yes. It's time to go out there and catch them, mate. Make it a sport. It can be some extra protein.
Yeah, generally sort of pretty minor things, but there's a lot of a spotlight on the aged care industry at the moment as they're all commissioned, so it's getting pretty tough. So people aren't as trusting as they once were, and they're asking a lot more questions, and they've got no problems going to the local member or media now. So
in regards to what, mate? Like,
it's more so aged care with elder abuse and who's looking after their family, the level of care they're getting. So you probably see it on the news every second night. There's stories about parents that have been left there and they've got bed sores and they're not getting fed properly, and there's a whole heap of issues. But even though I don't run aged care, it taints us as well with the same brush because we're sort of in that industry. So so you find people are getting a lot smarter and a lot more switched on. They ask a lot more questions. They do raise a lot more things and cause more issues, mate. But that's my day-to-day job. So,
geez, mate, plenty going on. Probably goes quite quick. As challenging at times as it probably could be, there'd be always something, wouldn't there?
Yeah, look, and it's people's perception, I see, mate. So, like 5-minute conversation with most of these oldies, you can sort out any issue they have. So. They come to you with a massive issue, have a chat to them for 5 minutes, and they just want to have a chat and listen to what you have to say, and that sorts many things out, mate. So you always keep a smile on your face, customer service. So
yes, I think that's I'm just curious, mate. Like how often do you think some of these people get visitors? Like visitors, like you said, they just want someone to talk to. And what's the age? What's the age or the median of age there?
So they have to. It's called independent living. So they have to be 55 and over to move in and be able to live independently. So basically, we're not nurses, we're not doctors. We don't provide any care in that way. People have their own home carers coming in. I would say we've got people in their 60s. We've got a lady who's just turned 102. She doesn't look a day over 70, mate. She's amazing. So
wow.
The sad thing is some people don't have any families when they get to that stage, whether it's dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever cognitive thing they have. There's no family to support, mate, so it's really sad. You've got to sort of take yourself away from that emotional side of it, and it's a business at the end of the day, and you've got to do what's best for everyone. So it is sad, mate. Some people got families, some people got no one. So.
It's hard, isn't it, mate? You can only wear so much of the burden on your shoulders, I've done that before, and it burns you out, mate.
You see the best of people and the worst of people, mate. So when people do pass away and there's money involved, you've got families, wills and money, the entitlements and stuff like that, people get bloody vicious, mate. So you see some pretty ugly things as well. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I could imagine. Seen a couple of people, obviously, rich, wealthy ones talk about that sort of stuff before, and one of them, he's pretty ruthless. I'm not sure how great some of his stuff is, but he's I won't mention his name, but he's brutal. He's a billionaire. He said, "I'm leaving my kids nothing. I've already told them that they get zero, like nothing." He said 3 of them took it okay, 1 didn't. But I was like, imagine that. Imagine you're in a funny way. I know we all have that sort of, I don't know, I guess that ease of life being easier when we associate it with money, when it's like your father's a billionaire and he tells you you're not getting 1 cent.
There's some tough people out there, mate, and he's probably doing that for a reason, I guess. But, money brings out the best and worst in people, as you know. So.
And that's our thing. And obviously it's not his problem when this guy passes, but at the same token, he came from $800 that he had left that he invested in. So he sees the like what I talk about in RDM, the growth is through the struggle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. It is. Look, I think one of the best things about the job, mate, because they've had a life of experience and they've been and done many things. A lot of them have been in the wars and through all that sort of stuff. I listen to their stories and I leverage off their stories as well. So, and even use some of they even help me in some ways with managing and different things, but they've been there, they've done it. So I think the older generation are good to listen to in that way because they've got a lot of knowledge and use that to your benefit too. So
absolutely, mate. There's actually something that I was chatting to Corinne about tonight, but I won't mention it here because I don't want people to know right now. But I'll chat to you after about it, mate. An interesting thing that I'd be very curious to look into, and you'd be the exact person to talk to about. There's some good wisdom out there, isn't there, mate? And
but look, in the previous life, mate, I'm a licensed builder. Still am a licensed builder and carpenter. So I run my business for years before that, and that's pretty much it, mate. So tempted to go back into it, actually, seeing what builders are charging these days.
Yes, And you're sporting the Mo, mate, and looking quite sharp, ready to get out on site.
No one's a fan of it, mate. My missus isn't a fan of it.
I think it's awesome.
All the oldies are working going, shave it off. What are you doing? You look like it. So yeah.
Even the oldies, jeez, mate.
Yeah, the oldies, mate. They're very judgmental. These old people. So
yes, I can see that in my old man. As he gets older, he cares less and less what people think, and or about his opinion. And yes, no filter. That's right. I reckon it's awesome. I need to start early for November, so I might kick on now and join you, mate.
Yeah, a couple of days growth for me, mate. So
is that all? Jesus, mate.
Yeah, I shaved it off, and it's it's probably about 3 days growth.
Jeez, you grow a good mo, mate. And it's like multiple identities, Marty, from when we first started with RDM to now with the mo.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's almost 12 months. So it's 12 months in November.
Jesus, gone quick, man.
So not far off my goal, mate. So.
Tell us, mate. Where'd you start? When we it's funny how we actually connected, mate, because the process, just for those who are listening or watching this, you'll reach the dads will reach out to me, and we're booking a call and we have a chat. And there is definitely a process. I don't open the floodgates to anyone to maintain the integrity and culture in this group. And it's funny, mate, because anytime when I've had, well, it doesn't have to be female, but generally, obviously, usually is someone else other than the man, the father himself reaching out. Initially, when they contact me, it doesn't work. It just doesn't, because I'm like, well, it's got to come from them, and they've got to want it. They've got to be. That's what lets people down. Their commitment, like we get, as you see, mate, as you're a prime example, bloody amazing results. But if the commitment isn't there from the man taking the action, no one wins. So what happened, mate? Take us back to that period where I guess it's between yourself and Janie, or something happened, and then
it's sort of like October. Well, look, I lost year. I'll go back. So years ago, I got up to 149 kilos, probably about 5 years ago. I was massive, bigger than what I was this time. I managed to get down to 105, so I lost a lot of weight. And then with work and whatever, just laziness or whatever, I've gradually put it back on. And as we moved up the coast here, I got up to about 142 kilos, 143 kilos. And I was just unhappy and lethargic and just, suffering. I've suffered mental illness before as well from previous things that happened in my life. So that was all starting to hit me. So I sort of went to the doctor and seek some help there, and he sort of gave me some advice, and he sort of said, look, you should get yourself involved in some sort of team sport or some group sport. And then it just so happens that one of Janie's friends, her husband, trains at Rock Commando, and he was mentioning that you've got this program, the Real Dad Movement, that you're doing. Basically, Janie took the initiative and sort of I think became friends with you on Facebook first, and then reached out. And then I thought, I'll take the lead myself. And then I sort of reached out myself and got on board as well. So I'm glad I did, mate, because, it's changed my life. So
yeah, it's unreal, mate. I can't believe it's been nearly 12 months.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know you initially started, you started to do something, but then when we spoke, because like you said, you lost it a few years ago. And then when we spoke, I was like, okay, well, you're already starting to look to take action and this and that and whatnot. You're starting to lose a little bit here and there. But what do you feel was the defining moment for you to go, I am going to take that leap and come on board? Was it knowing that, look, I can try and go this on my own, but here's an opportunity presented? So like what? I'm just curious, mate. Like what is it that led to you, coming on board? And
well, I think I could see it. Look, I got two young kids, 6 and a 3-year-old, and I could see I wasn't being the best I could be for them, and I wasn't happy, mate. Like I was just always unhappy, and just eating and drinking, just unhappy person in general, and that was affecting my relationship with Jane as well. So she was just into me every day, and just fighting constantly. And the more I thought about it, it just related to my weight, but also my motivation towards myself. Because it just wasn't there, I wasn't happy. Just go to work, come home, eat, go to sleep, and just no relationship there either. So I think the step I took was for myself as well, but also for my family, first and foremost, because I could see they were sort of, suffering. The kids, I wasn't doing as much as I should, and I wasn't doing as much around the house as I should with my life as well. So I think, I just had to take that step, because otherwise I would have blown out, and probably, who knows, marriage might have broken up. Who knows what would have happened, mate. So. Yeah,
and bloody good on you for taking that action, mate, because it's not, and I don't like to use business terms, but the reality is like my ads, what I spend on ads to people to reach out and click and take action, all these bits and pieces for them to follow through, basically go through a series of, I guess, filtering series to know whether they're serious or not. Jesus, mate, like thousands of people see my stuff, and I'm very good at what I do. Like what I do in terms of reach and connection and giving a message and articulating. That's not many people are doing that, and I'm like, Jesus, this is hard. Like what I do in reaching dads to try and help them is very hard, and so many thousands. And then of that X amount, click a button, X amount, book a call. Some of them never answer. Some of them in tears. They don't take action. So credit to you, man. Like you are a leader, and I say it to you and the other dads in what you've done. And you started out at 142 to start getting into it again, and you came on board with us. And what are your current stats at the moment, mate? Like what are you sitting at?
I haven't weighed in for a couple of weeks, but I was 109.5 a couple of weeks ago. So I generally just when I get to this stage, I don't do it every week because it fluctuates. So I sort of I'm results driven. So if I do it once a month, I know there's going to be some weight loss there. And when I jump on there, it's just like, here we go. I'm going to push harder now and see how far I can go. So I did have a goal to get to a weight, but I think I'm just going to keep going until
see what happens.
I find my groove,
Yeah, because you're a big man. I think you're a little bit taller than me. You're 6'5", 6'4"?
6'5", yeah.
6'5", yeah, just a little bit taller. So, I mean, that's an awesome weight, mate. And it shows like we'll have to maybe show the folks for the picture for this episode. I'll get a before and after, mate, to show what we look like. But it's unreal, man. And that's a good weight for your height and size. That's a great weight. Like you said, you did have a number in mind, but maybe it's going to be coming down to 105, back up to 108 with a bit more muscle. Who knows, mate? Like it never ends. I always wanted to be in that 100. I want to be 100 kilos, and I just create a number. Like a lot of women get conditioned to, mate, from society and gimmicks. And mate, I don't think I'll ever be that weight. I enjoy having the muscle I've got on, and I'm always between 108 and 110. This is what it is,
And that's what I mean. My body will find where it wants to be anyway, mate. So once I sort of, obviously it's going to start changing shape once the fat's gone and start building more muscle. So
absolutely,
I do a lot of cardio now, so just to shred the weight as well. So.
Yes, nice. What I'm just curious though, mate. Like, okay, you've lost all the weight. Obviously, there's some huge physical benefits in energy, but everything we do for the mind, right? I mean, you being fitter, healthier, stronger, dropping the weight, having more energy, all that's affecting you, with your mindset and the real estate between the ears. So, what is one of the greatest things, or a couple of the greatest things that you've experienced, or you now feel and have and hold from getting these results, mate?
Mate, it's just sort of, I think confidence is one of them. So when I was massive, I lacked confidence for obvious reasons, because I was big, and it's like you wouldn't want to go take your shirt off to go swimming, or you wouldn't want to do anything. You just didn't have that confidence because I've always been a bit like that, but when I was massive, I was very unconfident with a lot of things. So confidence is massive. I guess the other thing, mate, is just motivation and mindset. So I've learned to deal with things differently now. So. And I've put in the hard work, mate. So it's just, it's paying off. And as it pays off, it motivates me more. So I think motivation is probably the key to me as well. So it's keeping me motivated.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's funny, like motivation, some people don't believe in it. It's whatever word or term that you want to use. Motivation, purpose. There's many different words that we can pull into it. But it's funny. I remember someone saying it's borrowed certainty. And I guess that's to a degree. Plays a role, but having that consistently day in, day out, mate, it ultimately forms how you think and feel consciously in your decision making in many different choices, not just as a father or husband, but within yourself, mate, within your work and everything else therein.
Yeah, so look, it's been a great journey, mate. So credit to you, Al, for putting all this together, and I'm sure you're gonna have 1,000 dads in a few years' time, and they're gonna be sitting in a mansion somewhere. So. That's just these podcasts.
Yes.
But look, like I said, mate, it's you've got to put in. If you don't put in, if you're not willing to help yourself, then no one can help you, mate. So, and I think that's what I have to tell myself. If I'm not willing to put in the hard yards and actually take that leap and get involved, then who else is going to help me? No one. I'm in the same position in 10 years' time and still be twiddling my thumbs. So I think that's the thing I get out of it, mate. You just got to have a go, jump in and have a go.
Yeah, mate, it's spot on. And off the back of that, like when you look at, the mansion that I will have, I'll have a great gym there, mate, so we can all train together. And the boys out. We'll have a pool, spa, sauna, full recovery system, mate. Masseuse.
That's it.
I said
the RDM mansion, like the Playboy mansion.
Yeah, mansion. Oh, mate. I said to Corinne, all I want is to be in a position where I can get a farm and then have an underground, or not an underground, but have a bottom level where there's a big hot Roman spa in there. That's all I want, mate. It'd probably be a multi-million-dollar job to get one of those old school Roman hot spas set up in there. But Jesus, mate, that's all I want. And that's
there's some beautiful properties out the back of Marimba, mate. You go west of where you are, there's some absolutely cracking properties out there, which you wouldn't even know are there unless you drive down little back roads. So.
Yeah, some good spots. I printed one off and I've actually got it in a couple of places. There is one spot. It's in Queensland though, but I'd still support the Blues, mate. But it's out at Tullibudra. It's 270 acres for $4 million. I was like, Jesus, that's a lot, mate. And it's got its own dams and like the farming, the forest, creeks. Like that's huge. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to run all of that in a day, mate. And different sporting fields, but it's
training for the dads, mate. You can get them out there working, and that's part of their regime.
Yeah, that's right. Like the crops,
manual labour.
Yeah, that's it. Imagine that. But mate, accountability. What you said then, you're talking about you just got to do it, and it's got to be you. And I look at that, and I'm like, accountability. Putting your hand up, and that's owning your truth, right? Taking ownership, and then commitment. So that's consistency and accountability, isn't it? It's continuing to take action, mate. And that's what you've done, mate. Like you're a credit to a lot of the other dads, well, all of the other dads in our group, mate. And you inspire them. And it's really funny, Marty, because when I look at you and all the other dads, I sort of had a real breakthrough not too long ago, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm touching on points about marriage and wives and if they're divorced or not, finding new loving partners and whatnot and having children. But these are all tags, mate. Like these are things that just get hitched onto our backs as men. Like you're, and I don't mean this in a bad way when I say but you're just a bloke, I'm just a bloke, and we're just guys that want to, have significance and purpose in the world and live our lives. And then we get these huge burdens and pressures. And that's where I find we really connect the most in RDM, that yes, it's for dads only, but it's for dads only because we know what it's like being a father and having all those extra responsibilities and roles and duties hitched onto us. We need something that's real and tangible, and to connect and have that right environment, which is why it's only dads only. Because off the back of that, well, you're going to be more inspired, aren't you? You're going to have that level of motivation. You're going to feel more accountable, and you're going to remove some of the stories of going, well, you're a 20-year-old who's going to teach me how to Scott. You don't even have kids, and what would you know? Or you're someone who hasn't seen or been what I've been through. But instead of all these different things, which sometimes we do ourselves, right? We create our own stories and limiting factors. You've got this setting, which is, oh mate, like I'm super proud of you guys. Like I steer the ship, but it's fellas like yourself, mate, that continually drives and makes this bigger than myself.
Yeah, but like I said, mate, you just if anyone wants to have a go and they want to make their life better, then they're going to do it. But if they don't want to do it, then it's sort of it's really up to them at the end of the day. You can only hold yourself accountable, mate. No one else is going to help you out. Yeah. Life, you just got to get up and give it a crack.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, man. When I look over life, and that's what I try and, in soft and subtle ways, help you guys realise that you'll always be able to move ahead and be greater than your current version or circumstance, which I talk about. I call it growth. Or you can always grow. And the periods where I've been least happiest is when I haven't grown, mate. And it's like, yeah, I've got no issue if people want to settle. And it doesn't even matter what weight you are, like your level of activity, your energy levels, your connection, your relationships, how your children see you, how you see yourself, fine, whatever. Yeah. But for me, I just don't want to take that risk. Like if I just settle and I'm happy there and okay, cool, this is nice, this is good. We've got the farm, the boys come up every year, every month, every week, yeah, whatever it is. But you hit a point in your life, right? I'm like, I just don't want to take that risk. And then if that happens when I'm 38, 48, 58, but then between that age, 10, 20, 30 years, and then I'm 68, 78, which I reckon, like you said, mate, even if you're not aware of it, but I think you are, when you see life, when you see time, like you see time, don't you? When you look at old people, you see time, what time has done. And I'm like, man, people settle and they're happy, but are you really and how can you guarantee that? And is that a risk you want to take, knowing that when you can evaluate something before you, it's too late to change it anyway?
Well, I'll give you the hot tip, mate. They're never happy, these retirees, so never happy. So it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
It gets worse, if anything. If anything, they revert back to their childhood state when they get to that age. So.
Yes.
They whinge and they complain and they have tantrums. So it's very much like kids. So
you handle the 6 to the 3-year-old in the morning and night, and then throughout the day you handle the 63-year-olds that are.
I've got the both ends, mate. I've got kids in the morning, and I've got whinging old people during the day, and then kids whinging at night. So it's just a constant whinge fest around me. So.
Oh, mate! Imagine if you had to change nappies all day between the two.
No, that's it, mate. I've pulled up stumps on that. No more kids for me. So two's enough.
Yeah, it's right, mate. The 2 girls I've got, I grew up in a family of 4, and I don't know how people do it. We've got one of our dads, Rick. He's got a 7th on the way, which has always been a bit quiet in the group. Jesus, 7th on the way. He hasn't had enough punishment.
That's massive.
That's huge, man. That's huge, old Rickster. But what a cracker. But yeah, amazing, mate. It's one of those things, isn't it? Like you just said, it's only ever going to get harder as we get older. So what do we do? What have you found with your experience with ADM so far? Like, what have you learned? Not from me, like I'll just help you see within yourself, mate. But what have you discovered within yourself, mate, that you need to really adopt and own and be on top of as you will continue to get older when you're 38 and 40 and so on?
Look, I think for me, like I touched on it before, the motivation and the inspiration to keep pushing on. So I set myself goals in everything I do now. So not just fitness-based, work-based, or, if I'm at home working on the house, I set goals with that as well, financial goals. I've got little goals for pretty much everything now. And it gives me something to work towards. And then once I hit that goal, then I move on to something else. So I'm always striving to get better. I'm always striving to reach that goal. I think it keeps me hungry then. So if I just set one goal and I reach it and it's done, you're like, well, where to now? I've always got something else to move on to. So I think that's the way I'm going to deal with things and keep myself motivated and keep pushing. I think for the whole mindset sort of thing too, I used to use food and alcohol and whatever as an unwind after work to relieve myself from stress. Now it's just to the gym, mate. So I've had a shit day, I go straight to the gym and punish myself, and that's my release now. So I think that's the biggest thing I've taken out of it. I've changed my mindset, changed my thinking, just reset it all, and think about things differently now. Just good.
It's unreal, mate. And it's funny when you just said that about the gym as well. It makes me think immediately to like people think, oh, it's so hard to break a habit. It's like, yeah, but do you have to break it, or do you just have to change the routine or the ritual? So you've had a shit day at work, so instead of going and drinking or eating shit food, those sorts of things, the cue is exactly the same. Tough day at work. The perceived reward is exactly the same. Yeah, you relax, come down, let down, let the endorphins out, whatever you want to call it. But the actual, the execution, the practice, the activity itself, mate, amazing. You go into the gym instead of drinking alcohol and poisoning yourself with drugs and all these other things, and it's awesome.
Yeah. It's a different way of doing things, mate, but definitely more positive. So,
unreal, mate. And what's little goals? That's awesome, Marty. In every area. So even I get slack sometimes. I don't set goals in different areas of my life. Key things I do, but some of the big key things come down to a lot of the little things, don't they, mate? So I really like that. I like that you shared that. Thank you.
It's sort of, if you heard of SMART goals, like I said, like achievable goals. So you don't want to set yourself a goal which isn't achievable, right? Because if you don't reach it, then you might, lose your shit, and then just it's too hard. I'm not moving on. So I set little SMART goals for myself, which I can, I can measure and I can achieve.
That's great, mate.
That really pushes me. And when you see the results, it helps as well. When you jump on the scales, or I threw a pair of jeans on the other day. I got to throw out because they don't fit me anymore. They're too loose, and
yes.
Drilling holes in the belt to tighten the belt up as well. So that helps as well. So the people around you, when they notice and they start talking about it and they compliment you, it really massages your ego. Which people might not say they like it, but everyone likes their ego to be massaged here and there. So
yes. Yeah, mate.
So that motivates you as well, mate. So
it does, man. And look, I'll buy you a belt for Christmas, mate. So you might need another one by then as well.
That's it. So.
It's true. I was actually chatting to one of the other dads about that today, or messaging him, and I was like, "What's the driver like?" And yeah, like ego, you could look at it that way. And I'm like, it's significance, man. Like when someone else recognizes what you've done, like if you look at it in a roundabout way, whether it's your family, friends, or those, in how we are connected, and you can influence others as well as yourself. Like that's awesome, man. Like that's an achievement that kudos to you, mate. So you should bloody be happy and proud of that. And it's it's a good feeling, man. That's awesome. Well, Marts, Sorry?
I don't think I'll ever be fulfilled, mate. So I'm sort of that sort of person. I'm always on the go. I've always got to be doing something, and I've always got itchy feet. So, I don't think I'll ever be fulfilled, and I'll always stay in the same space, mate. I'll be pushing forward, regardless of what I'm doing. So,
That's the only way to be, isn't it, mate? We can always rest when we're dead, can't we?
yeah, that's right, mate. There's not enough hours in the day, mate. If you look at it from that point of view. So,
yeah, that's just true, man. Look, I'm sure you probably pick up on it. I'm exactly the same, but it's not that you're never happy either, is it? It's just that, like, well, what can we do more? Can we be more? The best if you've ever been is the best you've ever been. It's that word "been," is it? Up until this stage, so you don't know what you actually can be or you can become from here. It's just compared to everything else back in the past. So, no, I respect that, mate, and I'm wired exactly the same way, which is why you're doing great things, Marty, and we'll continue to do great things together, mate.
Yeah. Looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to having this chat in another 5 years' time, mate. So
yeah. Wait, anything stand out over the next 12 months, mate?
Mate, look, I think it's just maintaining it. So, like I said before, 5 years ago, I lost the weight, and that was it. It was great, but I didn't maintain it. So, I slipped back into the old habits and the drinking and the eating and just laziness. So, I think, with the other dads and the motivation and the chat groups and people keeping each other accountable, I think that's just my goal, mate. Just to get to a good weight, change my body, shape, and just keep myself accountable, mate. And maintain it. But also work on mindset too. So keep the mindset, working away as well.
What would be, I mean, you might have already just said it there, mate, but what would be your greatest piece of advice? And this isn't about plugging or talking just to dads, just to anyone listening, mate. Like, when it comes to developing yourself or working on yourself and moving towards being the best you can be, like what's something that you've taken away from your own life? It doesn't even have to be from RDM, from whatever it is that collectively has formed a big part of you. What would you pass that on to others?
Look, I think it's just having the courage to give something a go and just sticking with it. There's probably a heap of dads out there who were in my position 12 months ago, and they're like, "Oh no, I can't do that. I can't exercise. I can't do that." Look, I think what I've got out of it, you'd be surprised what you're capable of doing if you just give something a go. So I think that's what I've taken out of it. Like, I've surprised myself what I've done, and I think any dads out there watching would, they'd be surprised if they gave it a go what they could achieve, what goals they could reach.
Courage, man. It's a big one, isn't it?
It is. Just give it a crack. You just got to take that leap, and there's plenty of dads around that will support you, and yourself included. Everyone's out there to help out. We won't let people fail if they don't want to fail.
That's I'm going to write that down. Actually, that's a really good one. I like that. We won't let people fail. It's awesome. And in terms of courage, mate, that's exactly what you've inspired me to do, to interview you with a shirt of a movie that I was completely horrified. Probably still am, actually. I reckon if I watched that movie Jaws again, I reckon I'd still get the.
You gotta watch. There's a couple of newer ones. There's I think it's called The Deep. It's an Aussie movie where they all fall off a yacht up in the Barrier Reef somewhere, and they get mowed down by massive great whites. So that's a new one. If you want to watch that new one with more realistic sharks and more realistic attacks, mate.
Oh no, give them away. I'm not even a surfer or anything.
Yeah, I love all that sort of stuff. So.
I saw something. Is it Mega or Megatron or something? I saw some movie.
Yeah, the Meg. That's
had a huge, but I haven't. I didn't watch it. It looks. I remember seeing the trailer. It looks ridiculously big. That's probably a few years old now, that movie. But
yeah, it's a bit fake, that one. It's similar to Jaws. It's not believable. So
yeah, it was really good. Was it Deep Blue Sea where Samuel Jackson played a small role and then he got eaten, and no one thought that would happen.
Yeah,
he just starts talking and then he gets axed.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, that movie. They made a second one too, but not as good as the first.
I do, yeah. Yeah, that was scary, man. That was pretty realistic. That was pretty good. Can't remember the actors now, but yeah.
But I'm happy to say, touch wood, I've never seen a shark in the water when I've been surfing. I've seen heaps of them when I've been fishing, but never seen one face to face. So I hope I never do.
Well, yeah. I mean, they've got drones as well, Marty. So they see when you're coming in the water, like, "Hey, Marty's coming in, man. This guy's going to kick our ass. Let's just give him some time, give him some space."
He doesn't have as much fat on him anymore.
He doesn't muck around.
Not as juicy as I once was.
Shit. If he flexes, it's going to break our jaws and our muscles and our teeth. Sorry. Outstanding. Look, mate, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Marty. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been great, mate. Thanks for sharing your story. And look, I hope this has inspired anyone out there listening or watching. You don't have to be a father, but obviously this is going to connect with a father a lot more in understanding that this is life, man. Like, what are we up to? We're rounding out another decade, finishing off another decade, not long now, until 2020. Unbelievable, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, time flies, mate. I was in Bunnings the other day, and they've already got the bloody Christmas decorations out. By the time you know it, it's going to be December, and then be January again. We'll have the New Year's resolutions and all that sort of stuff. So,
mate, it's always like December 15th or December 17th through to about January 28th, just after Australia Day. That just disappears. Like for me, really, it's that and always my birthday week, like the back end of August disappears. So I always look at 10 months. Like for me, I know it sounds silly, but it's like I've only got 10 months of the year because there's 2 months where it just seems to disappear, and here we go again, mate. Crazy.
Yeah, things start getting busy, mate. So October onwards for me is just it gets silly at work. So up until Chrissy, then it dies down for a couple of months. So
once the cicadas go away, mate.
Yeah, cicadas go away. Yeah, hopefully, cicadas.
Shit, Gregor. That's Danny, mate. Well, thanks again for joining us. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening or watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. And we'll hit you up soon with another episode of the Real Dad Movement Podcast. And thanks again, Marty, for joining us, mate.
Thanks, Al. Thanks for having me.
Take care, guys. Chat to you soon. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.